Where we put our focus, we find our meaning. Where our focus goes, the energy flows. Look for a place where you want to create change. And as Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. But just take a look around. You'll find loads of things that you go, that's unacceptable. Become the man who wants to try and change that. And fuck the bliss stuff. There is no bliss. The worst things you can imagine are happening in the world right now. And terrible things are going to happen to you. If you're alive, terrible things are going to happen to you as night follows day. So let's stop thinking about bliss and perfection and start thinking about where we can make change. Sometimes when you're handed the poison, the only thing you can do is drink it. And I don't know who said it or where it comes from, but it's had a profound impact on how I see the work. Because I think that if we look at our lives, we get past a lot of stuff. We get past ancestrally, from father to son, mother to son. We learn things and we end up with a bunch of strategies. And some work for us and some don't. And some are poisonous. You see it in families. You see behaviours be handed down, 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 down and down. And when it comes to your go, you get a choice. You can either pass it down to the next generation or you can drink the poison. And that drinking the poison, that's what I call doing the work. Doing the work is drinking the poison. It's not glamorous. It's going to be painful. It's not easy, which is why we call it the work. But if you don't drink it, someone else is going to. And in every generation, you have to decide, if I haven't come from a healthy family, if I haven't come from a healthy situation, a healthy family, a healthy situation has to come from me. That's the only choice you have. As every human being who's alive, in the present day, always in the now, we have a decision to make. And that decision is what stops with me and what starts with me. What is the poison? So I see the poison as anything that takes you further away from the man you wanted to be or showing up the way you want to show up in the world. And anything that takes you further away from that is the poison. Anything that takes you closer to that is the medicine. That's why I talk about we have the choice always between are we the poison, are we the medicine. If we're the poison, we're behaving in a way that makes the world we want less likely. And if we're the medicine, we're making it more likely. So one way or the other, whatever we look at, every situation we go through when we're young, which we consider a traumatic experience, or even just a growth experience, we always come to a point where we're at the limit of what our current strategy, our current physicality, our current knowledge, or just our current life experience, we're at the limit of what we can do with that. And in that moment, I call that a moment of initiation. In that moment, we have to make up a new strategy to make our life make sense, to make the world make sense, because the brain can't cope with things not making sense. Our survival is based on us making sense of the world we have around us. So it's always a strategy in one way, whether it be a belief, whether it be a behaviour, it's a strategy. And no matter how dysfunctional we think that strategy is for us now, at some point it worked. A lot of the work is going, here I am there, I need a new strategy to get from here to there. And so we either have to kill off, change that old strategy, or pick up a new one. And that's about making it conscious. That's about bringing it into the conscious and going, does that behaviour serve me? Does that strategy, does that belief? No. Okay, so which ones do I need? That, again, that's doing the work. So we tend to think of life as linear. As we go, we learn something, we do something different, we learn something new, we do something different. But actually, I think I'm starting to think that our lives are actually more like a tree trunk. And if you looked at our life, we're growing outwards the whole time. And just like a tree trunk, you'll see certain lines. Those lines are what I call moments of initiation. So we grow and we get to a point where the current strategy that we're using, the current behaviour that we're using, the current habits we have, knowledge we have, resources we have, whatever it is we're using, be that in our business life or our personal life, we get to a stage where we're at the limit of where we can get to with that. And then what do you need to get further than that? Well, you need a new vision of what it's going to look like. Then you need belief that it's possible. And then you need to take action, not knowing what the result will be and not knowing it's the right action. And so we take that, and because of that vision, because of those beliefs, because of those actions, we learn a new strategy. We get new skills, we get new resources, and that carries us out till the next moment until that strategy, those resources again, stop working. So we're constantly getting to the limits of what we can and can't do. And then it's always a step into the unknown. What makes something an initiation is you know something's going to change. You know a part of you is going to die. You know there's a risk, but you could get what you need. And so we're constantly hitting these moments of initiation throughout our life, good and bad. Our life isn't linear. It's working out from the center. And we're constantly trying to get slightly bigger, slightly bolder, slightly more competent. So one of the big questions, and I think everyone at some point asks it, is, what's the man I want to be? What's he like? And for me, I think the easiest way to find the answer from that is to look back at your biggest wound. So when I'm working with people, one of the things I say is, what's the biggest problem you had to overcome? Or what's the biggest lesson you had to learn which you don't want other people to keep repeating that mistake? And in there is the man that we want to be somewhere. I want to be the man that teaches people this lesson. I want to be the man that behaves that way. It's always in the poison away from the medicine. It's always a push and pull. I'm being pulled away from what I don't want, or I'm moving towards something I do want. So being the man that I want to be, you have to look at your past, because it's always easier to define what you don't want. So look at what you don't want, turn it on its head. That's what I want. That's the man I want to be. I hate all the destiny stuff. Like destiny, follow your bliss, what's your sole purpose? Like, fuck that. That's too introspective. It's like, if you want to move, if you want to make progress with your life, find something that pisses you off. Find a problem and try and solve it. Devote your life to trying to solve that problem. Along the way, you're going to have to develop. Along that way, you're going to have to reach out and ask for support. Along that way, you're going to have to build community. Suddenly, you will find, I'm this person I didn't expect I could ever be. If you're being introspective, looking in, what is it that I bring the world? Go look out and see what there is out there that needs changed. Just lump onto that. Start contributing and you'll find your meaning. Where we put our focus, we find our meaning. Where our focus goes, the energy flows. Look for a place where you want to create change. And as Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. We can spend years and years trying to find what it was we were destined to be. But just take a look around. You'll find loads of things that you go, that's unacceptable. Become the man who wants to try and change that. And fuck the bliss stuff. There is no bliss. The worst things you can imagine are happening in the world right now. And terrible things are going to happen to you. If you're alive, terrible things are going to happen to you as night follows day. So let's stop thinking about bliss and perfection and start thinking about where we can make change. I personally don't think there is a plan. I think there's just responsibility. If I think that everything happens to me is by chance or by bad luck or whatever, I'm living a life of fate. Whereas if I take responsibility for it and start to believe that whatever I do has an impact and that I have choices, then that's destiny. When I take control, it's destiny. And the secret to that is responsibility. On some level, I have to accept responsibility for exactly who I am, how I am, where I am. And if anything's going to change, if it's to be, it's up to me. Destiny of some sort of preordained is taking responsibility out of my hands, putting it in someone else's hands. Now, that doesn't mean don't trust, because trust is really important. But you have to do. You have to follow the science. And to trust it will be okay, that's good enough to get you moving, but you have to get moving.